Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Bhakti Jadagacharya Shtottara Shakti Srimad Charan Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premanand all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vachaline Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashatyaresha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 25, the characteristics of King Puranjana. Text 10, translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Asit Puranjano Nama Raja Rajan Brihachravah Tasya Vigyata Namasit Sakha Vigyata Cheshtitaha Asit Puranjano Nama Raja Rajan Brihachravah Tasya Vigyata Namasit Sakha Vigyata Cheshtitaha Asit Puranjano Nama Raja Rajan Brihachravah Tasya Vigyata Namasit Sakha Vigyata Cheshtitaha Ladies? Asid, there was. Puranjanaha, Puranjana. Nama, named. Raja, king. Rajan, O king. Brihatshrava, whose activities were great. Tasya, his. Avigyata, the unknown one. Nama, of the name. Asit, there was. Sakha, friend. Avigyata, unknown. Cheshtitaha, whose activities. Narada Muni is speaking to King Anibarhishat. He's telling a allegorical story of a King Puranjan. My dear king, once in the past lived a king named Puranjana, who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Avigyata, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Avigyata. Report. Every living entity is Puranjana. The word Puram means within this body, within this form. And Jana means living entity. Thus everyone is Puranjana. Every living entity is supposed to be the king of his body, because the living entity is given full freedom to use his body as he likes. He usually engages his body for sense gratification, because one who is in the bodily concept of life feels that the ultimate goal of life is to serve the senses. This is the process of karma kanda. One who has no inner knowledge, who does not know that he's actually the spirit soul living within the body, who is simply enamored by the dictation of the senses, is called a materialist. A materialistic person interested in sense gratification can be called a Puranjana. Because such a materialistic person utilizes his senses according to his whims, he may also be called a king. An irresponsible king takes the royal position to be his personal property and misuses his treasury for sense gratification. The word Brihatshrava is also significant. The word Shravaha means fame. The living entity is famous from ancient times, for as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.20, Na jayate mriyate va. The living entity is never born and never dies. Because he is eternal, his activities are eternal, although they are performed in different types of bodies. Nahanyate hanyamane shariri. He does not die even after the annihilation of the body. Thus, the living entity transmigrates from one body to another and performs various activities. In each body, the living entity performs so many acts. Sometimes he becomes a great hero, just like Hiranyakashipu and Kapsa. or, in the modern age, Napoleon or Hitler. The activities of such men are certainly very great, but as soon as their bodies are finished, everything else is finished. Then they remain in name only. Therefore, a living entity may be called Brihat-Shravaha. He may have a great reputation for various types of activities. Nonetheless, he has a friend whom he does not know. Materialistic persons do not understand that God is present as the Supersoul who is situated within the heart of every living entity. Although the Paramatma sits beside the Jivatma as a friend, the Jivatma or living entity does not know it. Consequently, he is described as Avigyata Sakha, meaning one who has an unknown friend. The word Avigyata Cheshtitaha is also significant because a living entity works hard under the direction of the Paramatma and is carried away by the laws of nature. Nonetheless, he thinks himself independent of God and independent of the stringent laws of material nature. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.24, Achchedyo yang arayo yang akledyo shoshya evacha nityak sarvagatak stanur achalo yang sanatanaha. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, all-pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. The living entity is sanatana, eternal, because he cannot be killed by any weapon, burned into ashes by fire, soaked or moistened by water, nor dried up by the air. He is considered to be immune to material reactions. Although he is in changing bodies, he is not affected by the material conditions. He is placed under the material conditions and he acts according to the directions of his friend, the Supersoul. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham ridi sani vishto matak smriti jnanam apohanangscha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Thus, the Lord as Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart, and he gives directions to the living entity to act in whatever way the living entity desires. In this life, and in his previous lives, the living entity does not know that the Lord is giving him a chance to fulfill all kinds of desires. No one can fulfill any desire without the sanction of the Lord. All the facilities given by the Lord are unknown to the conditioned soul. Asit Puranjano nama Raja Rajan Brihatshvava Tasya Vigyata nama Sit Sakha Vigyata Cheshtitaha. My dear king, once in the past lived a king named Puranjana who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Avigyata, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Avigyata. Mama jnana timirandasya jnanjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadanti Kam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is our position, forgetfulness, avigyata. We have an unknown friend. Unknown because our attention goes into a different direction. It goes to the external world. As Prabhupada says here, one who has no inner knowledge, who does not know that is actually the spirit soul living within the body, who is simply enamored by the dictation of the senses, is called a materialist. So such a person is simply looking in the external energy for opportunities to give pleasure to the different senses that we have. Body means senses. So in this way, one not only forgets about avigyata, the unknown friend, one also forgets about oneself. The soul and the super soul, as it is described in the Upanishads, they're very close together, sitting on the tree of the body, as if two birds were sitting. And one is the superior bird and is observing, just looking, what is my dear friend doing? And this dear friend never turns his head towards the superior, the super soul friend, but is very much focused on the different fruits that he finds on the tree. He's of course looking for the sweet fruits. No? Yes. Everybody likes sweet. And sometimes you have fruits that look exactly the same. You take a good bite and it's, oh no, completely bitter. But it's too late. Already the bitter juice has entered. And sometimes it's mixed with a little sweet, which is worse. So what to do now? Well, you try to enjoy it, extract the sweet and forget, but the bitter is there, so this is our situation in this material world. We enjoy the senses. There's some little tiny little drop of sweetness, and then there's a whole wave of bitter experience after that. Nevertheless, we are so foolish that we go again to the same thing. Although we try to avoid the bitter part, it's not possible. That's part of the material arrangement. So the avigyata, the unknown friend, he's just waiting for his little friend to turn to him and actually ask for real guidance. As it is explained, and Srila Prabhupada also quotes from Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna says, I am sitting in everyone's heart, and there are three things that come from me. Smriti, which is remembrance, jnana, knowledge, but also forgetfulness, apohanam. So, and where does the forgetfulness come from? It also comes from our desire. In one class, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna, we know, nitya nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. One, the Supreme, he is fulfilling the desires of all the other ones. So if we have the desire to forget Krishna, Prabhupada said in the class, he will give you the intelligence to forget him forever. Which is not very good. So we shouldn't ask for the wrong thing. Because Krishna is all-powerful. He can make the arrangement that for a very, very, very long time, which seems like eternity, we actually forget. And automatically one has then to go from one body to the next, Puranjana, the living entity within the form, and experiencing all these different fruits. And therefore, here it is said, one is actually like a king, having freedom to use his body as he likes, or sometimes an irresponsible king, because he has the position, he has the power, he exploits the facility, and he just takes whatever he can. Or nowadays, they're not necessarily kings. Somebody becomes the president of a country or a president of a temple. We have had that experience. And they also, because they have access to the cash flow, so sometimes something disappears because the person wants to use it for his own sense gratification. And in many countries, especially countries where dictators are in power, at the end, many times when they die, suddenly it is discovered that they have billions and millions of dollars somewhere in some bank account, or huge amounts of gold hidden. So during their lifetime, they exploit the situation. It's a tendency of the living entity. And most of us, we don't have that opportunity, but whatever we can, we exploit. We try to get the most of the material energy. And in this way, one is forced to transmigrate from one body to another. And sometimes, yes, one may be a great hero. Prabhupada mentions not only Hiranyakashipu, but also Napoleon and even Hitler. This is some time ago. And for the last 50 years, 60 years, we had so many long lists of so many famous and powerful and rich people who, after their death, there may be a little bit more of fame being in the atmosphere. They have maybe a statue somewhere, or what do presidents of the United States? Each president establishes a library. And they call it in his name, or a trust or something, so that their name will live on after they have died. This is the idea. And it's completely illusional, an illusion, because the living entity Puranjana, as we will see in the story, depending on his activities, the future is very dark, actually. They may have a library somewhere where people still remember the name when the Puranjana, the living entity, was in that type of body of the president, but now the president has become a dog somewhere, or worse. So this is not a good idea. Therefore, avigyata, the unknown friend, we should know this friend. We can know him. Krishna is right there waiting. And in the moment the living entity turns to the Lord and asks for real guidance, then Krishna, he very happily, he will dadami buddhi yogam tam, he will give intelligence, he will give knowledge, he will give guidance how to come back to him and stop this transmigration from one body to another. That's the whole purpose. Otherwise, one will have, as Narada Muni will explain, because King Prachibarishat, he's also in that position, as so many others. He's wasting his life. He's going towards a very dark future. So a devotee like Narada Muni, he's trying to wake him up. Come on, see what will happen. What is your position? Don't think, like many do, oh, this may happen to this one, but it will not happen to me. Yes, it will also happen to you. And as he will, very soon he will point out, or he will show him actually, for example, the animals that he had killed and how he will have to suffer. So one is very fortunate if somebody like Narada Muni comes and he explains the real situation. He will not flatter this king. You're doing okay, just continue, give me some money. is the bogus guru. He will never say anything which will displease the disciple. But that's actually exactly what the guru is supposed to do. Prabhupada once said, it's the duty of the guru to find out some mistake and point it out. Not that everything is beautiful and nice and we don't have to do anything. No. We are making it so. It's a blessing if somebody points out our mistakes and wants to correct us and put us on the right path. So Narada Muni, he does this, as he does with many. This is another one. Narada Muni has so many disciples. So this King Prachinabharishat also, he will now get instructions by this story of King Puranjan how he should make his life successful. So here the first thing is this, that one has to understand that Krishna is present within our heart. He's next to us. We are his part and parcel. There's a natural relationship. It's as also later on in the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj will point out to his class friends, it is very easy to worship or to have a relationship with the Lord because we are his part and parcels. There's a natural relationship. It's nothing that has to be established or artificially constructed. It is already there. It just has to be discovered. It's covered now. Avigya, avidya, ignorance, or magyana, agyana, or agyata, same thing. It's unknown. We don't know. We simply are in illusion. So the process of this waking up, that's the process of sadhana bhakti, of Krishna consciousness. And if one is serious and applies it, then very easily it is, we can do this. And Krishna is just waiting. As soon as he sees that a living entity is seriously inclined, is really interested, he immediately makes arrangements so that we can make progress. Sometimes that may mean he will take everything away, because we may be in a position like here, for example, a king, like this King Prachinabharishat. He has too many facilities for enjoyment. It's very difficult to get out. There's another description, also by Prahlad Maharaj, how the living entity, like a cocoon, he make, this silk thread comes out from the mouth of the silkworm. Whatever it may be called, it's a silkworm. But what does it do? With its own saliva, it's making a cocoon and is trapped and cannot get out. It's like, yes, your own fault. You do it. It's nobody else is putting you inside. You are making your own prison, basically speaking. So that's what the living entity does, especially if one has a position like a king. Then there's so many traps, so many possibilities of enjoying the senses in this material world, and each activity like this is like another thread around, which makes the cocoon very tight and strong, and one is like, here I am, how to get out. So what is the only possibility? Help from outside. But one has to develop the desire, and this was a very important point here. Srila Prabhupada mentions it in the purport, that thus the Lord as Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart, and he gives directions to the living entity to act in whatever way the living entity desires. Everything depends on our desire. We cannot give the responsibility to anybody else. That I'm not at fault, this happened to me because this or that or the other thing. No. It's your fault. If you analyze, ultimately it's your fault because you desire this, you desire that, and then Krishna makes arrangements, and in the course of fulfilling the desire, we may experience things we did not desire. But that's part of the game. That's part of the game. So somebody who understands that, then he will desire, how can I get out of this predicament? How can I get free? And then Krishna, who is still sitting there in the heart, he now will say, okay, Now you have become serious. Now I will make different kinds of arrangements. You may not like them, but because you're desiring to get out, I will help you. And the devotee who is serious and sincere, even if something happens that may be not very comfortable or unpleasant, he will accept it as the Lord's mercy. And he will simultaneously also see that, yes, I'm waking up, I am becoming a little bit aloof from material life, and he can appreciate the Lord's help. So that should be our aim. The Lord is there to fulfill anybody's desires, because nobody can fulfill any desire without the Lord, without the sanction. And he gives all the facilities. So he also gives the facilities how to get out of the material world and become liberated from the entanglement. So this King Puranjana, he's a very good example. It's a very interesting story, how then the allegory, how the different parts of the body are compared to a city, and then the intelligence is the snake, etc., etc. So we're just starting now. This is just the beginning now. Narada Muni is beginning the story of this King Puranjan. Any comments, any questions? All right. Any question about this subject matter? If no question, we can speak about Purushottama Thakur. Everything clear? Yes. We have any mobile microphone for?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you explained very nicely this sloka.
Speak up.
So I want to ask you, every living entity is Puranjan, or those who are attached for the fruitive activities, they are Puranjan?
No, Prabhupada, you remember the first sentence?
Every living entity.
Every living entity is Puranjan.
Those who are attached for their fruitive activities.
Well, the word Puram means within this body. I mean, it means somebody who has a material body is called Puranjana. Not somebody who has a spiritual body is not Puranjana, as far as I can see from here. So we're talking about living entities in the material world. Thus, everyone is Puranjana, because every living entity is like the king of his body, and he's given full freedom. Whatever you want within the limits of the body, you can do. Like nowadays, especially in some countries, women, they take this, it's my body, and I can do with it whatever I like. They have big signs, and they go on marching, protest, because they want to have legalized abortion. So the concept is, I am the queen, I am the king of the body, it's my life, and I do with it whatever I want. And don't tell me what I have to do. It's exactly that consciousness. Exactly that consciousness. It's my life. Who are you to tell me what I should do? It's my body. They don't. That's the problem. We have this illusion to think this aham mameti, this is mine. It's not yours. You haven't created it. Like just now, yesterday I read Prabhupada's very incredible purport of the first verse of the first canto, first chapter, where he talks about these scientists, and he mentions Jagadish Chandra Bose and Isaac Newton and Einstein. And he talks about the brain that is so much adored by people who, wow, these great scientists. But he said, they cannot create their own brain. It's not their creation. No human being can create a brain like that of, let's say, Einstein. If they could, they would create so many brains like that, and they wouldn't adore this Mr. Einstein. What for? We have millions of other brains exactly the same, or better even, because we are the creator. No, because we are not the creators. We are not creating. We are not creating such brains. We are not even creating the brains of the stupid ones. What to speak of, Nobel Prize winning scientists? You can't even create the brain of a fool. You can't even create an ant. Well, Prabhupada said, well, okay, no ant, just a blade of grass. No. Scientists can't even create a one-cell living entity, which is the most simple organism in existence, as far as we know. Because we don't even know. Maybe there's something more simple. But what we have known, what we have seen in this world, it's just one cell, it's a living organism. So we cannot create this. So what is this point of it's my body? You can't even create one cell of your body. What to speak of the whole arrangement? So this is all illusion, it's ignorance. So Puranjana means, yes, every living entity that has a material body. And the one who is supervising and who is the director is the Avigyata, the unknown friend, the Supreme Lord. He is the creator, he maintains it, he destroys it at the end, and during the journey, while one is in the body, he gives direction. Either in an indirect way, which is called instinct. There's some bird here. When the bird had come out of the egg, what does the bird know? What do I have to do now? I'm coming out of this egg, now what? Well, the Avigyata, the friend in the heart, he will say, you have 2 wings, did you notice? Just spread them. Oh, okay. Now you jump and you do like this. Okay. Oh, I can fly. That's exactly like that. Well, how does the bird learn? Does it go to school like we have? If we want to fly, it's not so easy, to get the license for piloting a plane. You have so many conditions you have to fulfill, and then, okay. And then if you fly, many times it goes, finished. Yeah, have you ever seen a bird going like this? Bang! No, unless somebody shoots it, which is our fault. No, birds and even flies or any kind of these small insects, they can just fly because Krishna is giving them direction how to do it. And the construction is perfect. They don't have to refuel. They don't have accidents. Have you ever seen 2 birds colliding? Or 2 flies? No, they can perfectly. There can be hundreds of flies. They will never collide. You put 100 airplanes over Delhi. I mean, it will be a nightmare. Everybody hide because anytime anybody can crash anywhere. Alarm, alert, red alert. 100 planes over Delhi. Danger, big danger. No, so Krishna is giving directions, and he can also give directions how to get out of this Puranjana life. That's the whole purpose. Not to go from one Puranjana existence to the next Puranjana. They're all Puranjanas. Whether it's a king in a human body or a dog on the street who is the king of the neighborhood because he's the biggest one. And he bites everybody else. Right? You have also kings amongst the dogs. Amongst the birds. Who's the king of the birds? Wow. We don't know about Garuda. No, the eagle. Anyway.
Maharaj, my question is that technically, a person which attests for his fruitive activities is Puranjan, or the person who has dedicated all his activities for the Krishna's sake, Iharjasya Haridasya Karmana Manasa Gira Nikhlapya Avastasu Jivan Mukta Sauchyate. Even he is in material world and material body, still he is considered as Puranjan?
Wow. I dare to say no. Prabhupada doesn't talk about it, but here we understand that, those who are enjoying karma kanda, a materialistic person interested in Sanskrit can be called Puranjana, so let's use it for that. And whoever is fully engaged in Krishna's service is simply Krishna's eternal servant, Nitya Siddha. He's no more this type of Puranjana at least. So be careful.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, can you throw it and you catch it? No. He wants to have the microphone. So don't throw it, don't throw it. I'm struggling with mosquitoes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, very grateful your lectures.
No, you don't know.
Grateful, very privileged to hear your lecture, very practical as always. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yeah, but we have to apply it. Okay.
Maharaj, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that no one can fulfill any desire without the sanction of the Lord.
That's right.
So when we come into the process of Krishna consciousness, sometimes there are seemingly Krishna conscious desires. Now how do we know that it is our whimsical mind or it is with the explicit sanction of the Super Soul?
So either you are intelligent enough to know, if you don't know, you ask. You ask, you can first of all, if you can, ask your guru. You can ask senior devotees, you can ask a friend. I mean, if you don't know, we ask. Or we can consult Shastra, we can do so many things to find out. Otherwise, we don't know. And if we go ahead and act without having verified whether it's good or not so good, then it's like gambling. If it's, you may be lucky, it was good, so everything works out fine. And you made a mistake, then you have to suffer the consequences. So if one is not sure, always ask. That's the best thing to do. I mean, people do this all the time. Even those who apparently have, even the President of the United States, he generally still asks somebody sometimes, the present one. They have a staff. They're called aides. An aide is somebody who helps, an expert. I mean, who can know everything about everything? I mean, some are such a big false ego. They think they know everything, and that's the worst type. And even if they don't know, they pretend because they don't want to admit that they don't know, and then they take a decision, and it's a disaster. So an intelligent person and a little bit humble, he will always ask. And he will say, I don't know. Even Prabhupada said that. Somebody said, Prabhupada, I don't know. You remember this video in the studio? There's a Srila Prabhupada, we can do this in our own time. Well, I don't know, you do whatever is, whatever you think is the best. How you can make the recording, you don't ask me. This is the idea. There is the all-knowing, and Krishna will now tell him, immediately, oh yes, you do it on this time, and then you do this slider, and you... No, it's not like that. So, practical. Because, practical is we ask whoever we think can give us a good advice. Of course, you have to know who to ask. Don't ask a fool. Then you get a wrong advice. So.
Grateful, Maharaj. Thank you for answering my question.
Anything else? If not, we will read. You want to read? You can get the microphone.
Sri Purushottam Das constantly meditated on and served the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Kanu Thakur, his son, was such an exalted devotee that Lord Krishna always lived in his body. When Kanu was 5, Ma Jahanama took him to Vrindavan. The Goswamis joyously greeted him upon seeing his genuine devotion. In Golok Vrindavan, Purushottam Das Thakur serves Lord Balram as a cowherd boy, Dwadas Gopal. His samadhi is located in the 64 samadhis area. And he is Istok Krishna Gopal. Out of the 12 Gopalas, Istok Krishna Gopal.
Jai. Purushottama Das Thakur ki Jai. Anything else? So, have a nice day in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Gauravani ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. So today also we have a privilege to hear from Maharaj from 6 p.m. onwards in seminar.